Welcome back to the Relius Reviews. Today's review is focused on Only Murders in the Building, Episode 5, entitled Twist. And the official synopsis of Twist is: a suspicious Charles and Oliver follow Mabel when she slips away on a solo mission to track the victim's final days. And before I give up my review, please like and subscribe and comment and tell me what I should review next. This episode was a pretty good episode. New evidence being revealed, just new people being brought up that just makes you question who exactly is this person. And I'm not going to talk any longer. Here is my episode recap and review. So the episode starts off with just a narration from an unknown guy. And we see tie-dye guy following Mabel until Mabel basically almost kills the person. And we find out tie-dye guy is actually Oscar, the guy who served over 10 years in prison, who was just released and everything. Tie-dye guy, or Oscar now, and Mabel, they reunite and they catch up for lost time. Meanwhile, Charles and Oliver are still shocked and confused and upset that Mabel kept some very important information regarding her knowing Timecode. Charles, he still has hope that Mabel is not involved. Meanwhile, Oliver is already assuming the worst, that she is the killer, that she knows a lot more than what she's given out. And this episode basically is like a cat and mouse game, in my opinion, with Mabel trying to go to the location that was written on the white notepad, GM sure, as she has an idea of what it may be. And Charles and Oliver decide to follow her. And in this episode, we find out a lot more about Oscar, which is pretty important information. We find out that Oscar was there indeed during the night of the fire alarm, as he was trying to, quote unquote, see Mabel at her grandma's apartment. Mabel, she is acting a little bit cold towards Charles and Oliver due to being with Oscar. And then meanwhile, we see Oliver and Charles still trying to figure out exactly why Mabel didn't tell them about that important information. And they also briefly look up that infamous New Year's Eve party night, the night where Zoe died and where Oscar went to prison for over 10 years due to Tim not talking to the police about what he knows. And during the ride, Oliver and Charles, they seem to have like a good time as they are talking about what they were doing in 2010. Charles, he was going through a horrible year as he was extremely obese. Oliver, he was doing things that was not really important. But Charles also brings up the fact is that he doesn't remember that infamous New Year's Eve party night where somebody died at the apartment as well. I don't know if that means anything, but that was still like an interesting. Oliver, he is just assuming the worst of Mabel. He already assumes that she may be a killer because when you think about it, Mabel has not been extremely honest with the two for quite a while now. It just paints Mabel in a very bad light. So meanwhile, during Oscar's and Mabel ride, Mabel finds out what actually GM means as she discovers that GM means Gustavo Moore, her cousin's tattoo shop, as her, Oscar, Tim, and Zoe, they all got tattoos there before Zoe was killed. And Mabel is now trying to figure out what exactly does Tim and Gustavo have in common. So the entire gang, they all stop at a gas station to get different things. Oliver's and Charles's car is basically dead because it's smoking too much. And this is where we are introduced to new characters. Lucen and Vaughn are part of the Yard Dogs podcast. And they don't seem like suspects. They do seem like two ordinary people that's just trying to help out Charles and Oliver. And what we find out is that Lucen and Vaughn, they do have a podcast called the Yard Dogs Podcast, which is a lot more relevant than Only Murders in the Buildings podcast with Charles and Oliver and Mabel. They have over 60,000 subscribers, and they know Cinda Canning, in fact, because the podcast is a part of her network. And once they get to the tattoo shop, Oscar, for some reason, he doesn't want to go inside, as he is just getting out, as he has ideas of opening up a yoga shop, as I guess he became a licensed yoga practitioner in prison. And Mabel is trying to figure out indeed, what does Tim and Gustavo have in common. So sometime later, Charles and Oliver, they confront Mabel about everything, about why she didn't tell him about the fact that she knew Tim Kono. And this is where everyone meets everyone, as Oscar meets Charles and Oliver. And this is where Oscar basically confirms the fact is that during the night of the fire alarm, he was trying to meet up with Tim Kono. But as soon as he was knocking on the doors of Tim Kono, he heard a gunshot and he immediately left. I'm not going to write him off as innocent as of yet, because he did lie to Mabel's face about why he was there that night. So what else could Oscar be lying about? And once they are all in the tattoo shop, Gustavo, Mabel's cousin, reveals the fact is that Tim was trying to bring down some black jewelry marketer by the name of Angel, as for some reason, Tim had a feeling that he knew that he was going to get killed. Mabel reveals what she found in Tim Kono's apartment, a whole bunch of jewelry. And that is how the episode basically ends. And I felt like this was a good episode, but this episode raises a lot more questions indeed. The first question I have is, who is Angel, and why did Tim want to bring down Angel so bad? Like, who is Angel? We know that Angel is a black jewelry marketer, but what does Tim and Angel have in common? Like, why did Tim want to bring down Angel that bad? Another thing is that Oscar, he's still looking suspicious in my opinion, because he lied to Mabel's face that he was going to see her that night during the night of the fire alarm, but he did go to see Tim Kono. I don't know. He may be telling the truth, but at the same time, if he is willing to lie in her face that easily, what else could he be lying about? And when it comes to Mabel still being a suspicious, well, I'm still looking at Mabel's a little bit sideways for obvious reasons, but only time will tell what's going to happen next. And with Gustavo, I don't think he's a killer, because if he was talking to Tim and Tim knew that he had a feeling that he was going to get killed off, like, what does Gustavo know about it? Only time will tell with what's going to happen. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment. And until next time, goodbye.